Do you love customer service, or does it give you a huge headache? I'm curious. I know that I absolutely love customer service. I love being of service, and I have a really fun behind the scenes story that I'm going to share with you guys today. A little photography story about a goal I set for myself in the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of stuff here. There's goal setting and accomplishments. There's customer service secrets that have worked for me over the years, and just a little bit of a story that might tug at your heartstrings. This is episode 115, and you can find the show notes at elizabethhenson.co/E115. There's going to be lots of links there for you, and we'll cover everything you need from this episode. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson, and I help high-performing artists and creative leaders grow and scale communities so that marketing is easy. This podcast combines business tips and real-life experiences in being the creative entrepreneur that we all are. So you're in the right place if you want to leave feeling a little bit more confident and normalize these day-to-day struggles that we all experience as business owners. And you can do this while mastering your marketing so that business is light and easy. I'm so glad you're joining me here where we can get a little bit messy, a little bit creative, and it's okay to be super ambitious. Let's get started. So, if you have connected with me on Facebook or Instagram, you might have seen a black and white image that I shared that I took with an antique Pentax 6x7. And there's a story, and I shared a little bit of it, but I just knew that it deserved more. Like, I had to really tell the whole story to do it any justice. And I hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I feel called to tell it. So, I have had some of the most amazing clients over the years in my photography business, and so many of my wedding couples, even though I've since retired from weddings, but my wedding couples are coming back to me for their family pictures. Some of them are on like their third child. It's really incredible to see these families grow and to work with people in that way. And I love building relationships and being of service. And I always have, and I've always led with that. And Katie and Landon were one of my very early couples. It wasn't really my first year. I think it was my second or third year. And they were very special to me. They were, one of my first clients that I really didn't know. They came referred by another client. So we're talking like I was getting further and further from that inner circle where it was like really close connections were hiring me. And now I was starting to reach people that I didn't know them. I didn't know people that they knew. And Katie and Landon were one of those first couples that I really didn't know much about them. They were referred from another client who I also didn't know much about. So it was kind of an exciting point in my business. And I remember Katie just telling me a little bit about them. They both had diabetes, and they were just awesome, like awkward in the best way, funny in the best way. And they had an unexpected pregnancy, so their wedding got pushed back. But I ended up being able to photograph their engagements, their actual tiny elopement, then their big wedding ceremony, which we kind of did as a vow renewal, and then a couple family shoots here and there. I photographed their son in the hospital because he was extremely premature with all kinds of complications. And without going too far into their story, I just wanted to highlight how important this family is to me. And just, if I had to truly represent, everything good and everything that my business represents, the photography side of my business represented over the last decade, I think about them and my couples that are like them. Like, they are the pillar human being of a family, right? Qualities of a family. There we go. That I would want to work with. And I ended up photographing Katie's brother's wedding and their pictures and met their family. And so I really sort of, intertwined myself with the entire family. So fast forward, and Landon became even sicker, and I didn't really know, because if you weren't really on the inner circle, he wasn't sharing, and, Katie said he didn't want to share. So I really didn't know he was as sick as he was. And then suddenly he passed, and gosh, it was very emotional for me to know that he had passed away. And so, of course, I made arrangements to go to his celebration of life. I just didn't feel like I could not go. I knew Katie didn't mind or didn't have any attachment to it, but I just felt really called to be there. So at the celebration of life, Katie's brother had been holding on to this vintage camera for me for years, and he meant to bring it to me at a session that we had, and then he said, I'm going to hang on to it for you, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking, gosh, that's really nice, but like, he doesn't have to do that, right? Like, sure, I would love a vintage camera to put on my shelf, but I don't really, I'm not a collector. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Like, I didn't have any big feelings, but I was completely open because I trust the universe. And if it meant something to Kevin, I wanted to, do it justice. So he brought this camera to the celebration of life, and he gives it to me in this big orange bag, and it's like so heavy. And I'm like, gosh, like, what is this thing? And, I was kind of excited to get it home and check it out. But again, I didn't know anything about it. So, and, he tried to kind of tell me where it came from, and nobody really knew. Turns out maybe it's from his wife's side of the family. But he said it may be from Landon. So like, we just really didn't know. There's not a whole lot of story as far as where the camera came from. All I know is it came from this family, and that's all that really matters to me. So I get it home and I start kind of like just Googling a little bit about it. And I was like, okay, this is actually a pretty legit camera that people are still successfully photographing with nowadays. And so I just started doing a little bit of research, and it's the Pentax 6x7. You can go Google it and learn about it, but they really are supposed to still work. So I kind of went from like, okay, this could be just a decoration in my office, or like, I can try to get this thing working. So in January, I decided that I wanted to commit to at least seeing if the camera would work. And I've never shot film before, you guys. Like, I mean, I have before digital existed, but that was over 2 decades ago. So I don't know how to get one of these cameras working. Like, it has been way too long since I have done any of that. I mean, I guess you could say I know enough to be dangerous, but I still had to Google how to work this Pentax. I'd never touched a Pentax before. So I started Googling little by little, figuring out how to turn it on, how to change the battery, how to use the light meter was a doozy because the light meter just doesn't work. How to open it and put in film. Like, I just little by little Googled every little thing on how to learn how to use this camera until I was ready to shoot. And that sounds pretty dramatic, but it wasn't as daunting as I make it sound. That's just how committed I was. But it was March before I was actually anywhere close to being ready to shoot. So for Maddie's birthday, we went away to the Outer Banks, and I brought the camera with me, all loaded and ready to go. And you only get 10 frames with these cameras. And I just decided I was going to try. And like I said, the light meter doesn't work. So I downloaded this little app on my phone to just kind of help me as like a light meter. But I also trusted myself, to know what the settings should be. And I took a couple of test shots, and then that's it. I had to wait till I got home and ship the film away to Richard's Photo Lab to see if it was even going to turn out. And they did. And not only did they turn out, but they turned out beautifully. And gosh, it was just like, how do I do this justice and the story justice? And the only way that I can explain what it felt like when Kevin gave me the camera and then I explored it enough to set that goal for myself, it was like I had to do this camera justice. Like, this is actually a really valuable piece of equipment and I had to do it justice. I couldn't just let it collect dust. I had to make it mean something. And it really reminded me of 2012, right before my wedding, when my mom gave me her Nikon D3000, I think it was. And I sobbed. It was at my bridal shower, and I thought I was going to be opening, some plates or some lingerie, and I opened, and it was like this camera, and I just burst into tears. And I don't know why. I didn't see it coming, but I think it was just, my mom was a photographer before she was a potter, and she was very good. She won awards with Kodak, and she's just an artist. And I've always known inside me, that I'm an artist and that I'm an entrepreneur. And that was a time in my life where I wasn't exercising any of that. I was very focused on, being the best field hockey coach I could be and being the best teacher that I could be. And I just wasn't focused on my own hobbies or art. So when my mom gave me that Nikon D3000, it was like, I just knew that it was untapping into my infinite potential. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I built my photography business all starting with that camera. And that was in March or April of 2012. And then I opened the doors to my business in January of 2013 and just never turned back. I mean, it's just growth after growth after growth. The things that I was able to accomplish in a decade with my photography business is truly, amazing if I really look back and put all the pieces together. So when I got this film camera, it was also at a time where I was really digging into what's next. I'm way too skilled at photography and I love it too much to just be done, right? What's next? And I had just allowed myself to sit in the ambiguity of not knowing. And then this camera, drops in my lap. So all that to say, it's been a really fun hobby on the side in 2023 of figuring out this film camera. And it is such a testament to customer service that camera even ended up in my hands. And it's a testament to the relationships that I built with my clients and a testament to attracting the right, most generous human beings to my business. And that is valuable, to look back and look at all those breadcrumbs of what I was doing and how my actions attracted certain types of people and repelled others. I had no idea. My marketing brain was not a thing then. It was all just intuitively guided by my love and my passion for my craft, my passion for customer service, and just always listening to my moral compass of what is right and what is just and what do I believe in and how can I show my business openly and vulnerably and attract the same type of human being. And that's exactly what happened. And wow, what a full circle gratitude moment that I had this big life-changing moment when my mom gave me her camera. And then, this big moment filled with grief and emotions when this family gave me the film camera. And the pictures I took of my daughters are like jaw droppers. And I'll share them in the show notes so you can see the full gallery. It's only 8 pictures. And, some turned out, I have like 3 favorites that I think are absolutely incredible. And next I'm going to try color. So that was a black and white roll. And next I'm going to try a color roll. So I'm not rushing myself. I just really do it when inspiration strikes or there's special memories to capture. And that's it. That is the story of the Pentax and my desire to shoot film. I never had a desire to shoot film. And then this happened. And I feel like it's all in Landon's honor and in honor of all of my clients that I have worked with. And I know that sounds silly, but if you're a photographer, I know you get it. Or if you're just a person, who is a service-based industry, I know you get it. Like, this isn't just something we do to make money. Like, it is our heart, just, outside of our body and passion. So there you have it. So customer service takeaways. So if I really had to look back on this and recap some of the things that I did well, and the most important one is I shared the journey. So I never showed up saying, I am the best photographer. I am a skilled photographer. I will give you quality images. None of that came out of my mouth. Like, I was actually just sharing everything that I was learning in real time from the day I got the camera until I shot my first practice session, until my first practice wedding. I mean, I shared everything very publicly. Back then, Facebook was the thing. And people followed the journey and they trusted me because I showed up so open and so vulnerably, not because I was showing up fully confident or overly confident in my craft. It was all about service, and it was all about gratitude for capturing certain moments for people. And then it just felt like the right way to show up. But looking back on it, it was one of the most genius marketing things I could have ever done, was just to be open and to share vulnerably and authentically, and really make it about the people and not about me and what I wanted. I didn't even know what I wanted. I didn't know I was going to quit teaching and start a full-time wedding photography business. Are you kidding me? I just started shooting completely for fun. And that's what I shared. And that's what got people so enamored in my business that they were lined up and ready to hire me when I was ready to take their money. So showing up, if you're writing a book, share everything behind the scenes as you're writing. Share anything you can think of that made you feel uncomfortable or moved or passionate. Share it with your audience, and they're going to follow the journey. And then when that book comes out, or that new service is launched, or that new business begins, they will be there for you because you shared openly the entire time. And I used to teach photographers this all the time. Like, nobody cares if you turn your back and you hide and you practice, and you don't share any of those images. When you launch your portfolio, because now, okay, I've got 10 and they're perfect and I'm ready, nobody's going to be ready to buy from you because they have no idea who you are, what your core values are, why your business exists. They know nothing. And pretty pictures or a great product just isn't enough anymore. People want to be invested in the journey. So share your journey with them. That is the most valuable marketing tool that you have, is to share your journey, to share openly, to show people your imperfections, because that's how you build trust, and really focus on the people that you're helping more than you're focusing on the outcome that you would like to see, right? I saw something really empowering the other day. I believe it was Mommy Millionaire on Instagram. And she said, if you really want to be a person of influence, focus on the people that need you and ask what their goals are, say in the next 90 days or whatever. And you be the person that helps them achieve that, and work as hard as you can, or, as committed as you can. I like the word committed better than hard. And you just be the person that moves the needle towards that goal, and they will forever be part of your network. And it really stuck with me because that's so simple, right? These people just wanted great pictures of their family or their moments or whatever, their wedding day. And I worked fearlessly and at 110 commitment level to getting them that result to the best of my ability. I never promised a certain quality. I never promised a certain number of images, but they just knew if they were hiring Elizabeth Henson, they were getting the best possible commitment, right? Commitment, great customer service, great communication, not perfect outcomes, but perfect communication along the way. That's really what catapulted my business. It was never about getting it right. It was never about being the best. It was just doing my best and my most passionate and most committed efforts and focusing on them. What would be the best experience for them? Gosh. And I can spot crappy customer service a mile away, you guys. I cannot stand crappy customer service. And I had a really bad experience a year ago or 2 years ago. In the summer, it was really hot, and we were doing outdoor pictures. So my family was really hot and really irritated. Scheduling this in July was the worst idea I ever had. And I ordered like slushies or milkshakes or something for everybody from this shop. And I remember saying, do I need to come get these when they're ready? They said, no, we'll bring them out to you. So I waited in the heat. My family all went to the car and was in the car getting an AC. And, my husband was probably annoyed because I just wanted my yummy treat and I wanted to try to get the kids happy again. And I waited outside in the heat, and I waited outside in the heat, and I waited outside in the heat. No deliveries, nobody calling my name saying your order's ready, nothing. So I go inside, probably 30 minutes later. Hey, I'm just wondering if my order's ready. They said they would bring it out to me. And she's, just looks at me. And then I see on the counter my 4 drinks, completely melted, just sitting there on the counter. And this is not to complain, right? I'm sure everyone there was doing their absolute best, but that is such a sign that customer service was not at the forefront of that business, right? At that, their focus, their core values. They are not waking up each morning saying, how can we give our customers the best possible experience? They're probably waking up in the morning, say, how are we going to get through the day when we have lines out the door constantly, right? So really leading with, how can I make this the best possible experience for my customers? And you can do that while staying within boundaries, while staying within a workflow that feels good to you. And that's how the core values in my company are built. It's all about, how do we provide the best possible experience for our customers and focus on solutions that are light and easy for us. And as long as we're asking that question, we will always find the answer that is closest to both, right? But if we just assume that we have to work so hard to give great customer service, it's so hard, then that's exactly the reality that you're going to create. So if you ask yourself, how can I give the best possible experience and make it easy? There's something there, and you will find something, but you have to believe that it's possible and that that solution exists, and you will find it. And I never felt like my photography business was daunting. We'll use that word, because of course there were times where it was difficult. I mean, gosh, carrying around 50 pounds of gear on a Saturday, 3 weeks postpartum, twice I did that. Like, difficult definitely was a thing, but it was never daunting. It was never annoying. It was never difficult in that sense, right? It was never difficult to wake up in the morning and do what I was doing, because I loved it and I always believed in customer service first. Okay. I hope that was helpful. I hope that it inspires you to set a goal, even if it's just a simple hobby on the side or something new you want to try. Set a goal. I knew that I wanted to see if that camera would work. And if it did work, that I was going to try it. And I just knew that I wanted to accomplish that in 2023. And that was it. It was a very loose, lots of grace kind of goal. And I rocked it. And there was something about getting those pictures back, or even just sending them off, that gave me that feeling of building integrity with myself and following through on something that meant something to me. And yeah, there's a lot there when you set a goal and it means something to you and you see it through. We all know that feeling, right? So give yourself opportunities to experience that feeling as often as you can. Set these really small but powerful goals so that you can sit in that feeling of accomplishment. I mean, I just ran my 5K on Saturday, and that was yet another goal in 2023. Not huge. I didn't have pressure behind it. I just said, I'm going to run a 5K. I'm not going to put any attachments on, how I perform. I'm just going to do it. And I signed up, I think, March 1st, and I trained for 6 to 8 weeks. And I just ran it on Saturday. It was a lot harder than I expected because it was in squishy, uneven grass. But you guys, that feeling at the finish line of a goal that means something. And that was so much more than a 5K for so many reasons, just like this was so much more than a camera for so many reasons. So give yourself opportunities to experience those wins. If you walk away with anything from this episode, walk away giving yourself an opportunity to experience a win. And by just accomplishing a goal, not how you perform, not the outcome, but simply committing and getting across the finish line and taking those pictures and learning that new skill. And then I want you to share it. I want you to share it openly and vulnerably, just like I talked about when it comes to that marketing secret of sharing your journey. And I want you to tag me on social media at Elizabeth.Henson so that I can see it too. That would absolutely mean the world to me if this episode somehow inspired you to set a little tiny goal that is meaningful to you and see you accomplish it. So do that over on Instagram at Elizabeth.Henson. Or you can share it inside our free Facebook group called The Community Builder. You can go to facebook.com and search groups, The Community Builder, and you can always share anything, any big takeaways from the podcast inside our community there as well. All right, I'll see you guys soon.